Thanks for having us.
Yeah. This is our first time doing anything like this together, and so we're super excited. I'm going to start talking about our inspiration.
Yeah. Let us know when our timer starts. We got to be quick to get 6 minutes here.
Yeah.
And go. So our inspiration for starting the company, when we started in 2019, I realized that there are many local roasters, but a lot of the people that we kind of relate to in coffee were actually ordering wholesale coffee from roasters outside of Asheville because of the specific approach that those roasters were taking. So we were seeing a lot of coffee shops here ordering from places like Counterculture in Durham, Methodical Coffee in Greenville, other roasters around the country, basically because of the approach. And so we saw that there was a niche in the coffee roasting world that wasn't exactly being hit by the local roasting community.
And maybe that's best explained because Matt worked for Counterculture. So we met in Durham and we were living there and moved to Asheville in 2016 to work for Counterculture. And so Matt was seeing firsthand that a lot of people were really appreciating what Counterculture was doing. They are nationally, I would say, considered, one of the...
They're a big company.
Yeah, they're a really big company and nationally renowned for the kind of quality that they're producing and the emphasis that they have on direct trade and making responsible relationships with their coffee producers. So we've always been super inspired by that. I mean, coffee is very inspiring, right? Like it literally is. If you're not feeling very inspired and you drink some coffee, you might feel more inspired. So it's like inspiration in a cup in a way, right? And but it's also super inspiring when you start to understand what all goes into creating coffee. Like for me, my background is in feminist and cultural geography. So when Matt and I met in Durham, I was studying to get a PhD, which I ended up just deciding to do a master's instead. But my kind of inspiration and my desire to be a part of Cooperative, he said, hey, I want to start my own coffee roasting company. I was like, okay, we have to call it Cooperative because we really want to be worker owned. We want to do ethical business at every level. So that's sort of where my creating a healthy workplace and creating, making healthy interventions in this like beautiful and inspiring nexus, of like where this coffee is something that brings people from all around the world together. So
yeah, coffee quality locally meets healthy business organizational structure. Yeah, look at that
guy. Okay. This is a quality evaluation. It's
called cupping.
Yeah, tradition.
It's not what you see the Olympic athletes with the suction cups. So what we've done well to this point, we've really focused on what we wanted to accomplish from the coffee quality perspective, focusing on coffees that are sweet, that are naturally kind of bright and effervescent, and that are really clean on your palate. I feel like we've done a good job sourcing those coffees and roasting them in that way. We've also grown our team from one person to a team of 5 at this point. And, started with a couple of wholesale customers and now have, over 30 relationships with other businesses that order, weekly from us. What else have we done well, Katie?
I just think that focus, like staying really focused on the coffee and doing it the way that we want to at the scale that we were able to starting up. And we'll talk a little bit more about that when we talk about the challenges or what we might have done differently. But I feel really proud of that, the fact that we've been able to, and also during the pandemic, obviously, like it wasn't a very natural time. We started in July of 2019 and 2020 didn't feel like a natural time to go being, like, hey, do you want to switch your coffee program completely and go?
You can't see my face right now, but
so yeah, that was a definite challenge. But I think staying focused on bringing in the coffees we want, really nurturing our relationships with importers. Matt's background in coffee, having worked in coffee since he was 18, and knowing a lot of people in coffee and having solid, good relationships, those were all strengths.
What we would have done differently, 2 things. We would have bought a much larger roaster to begin with. That's our biggest, capital investment. And it's the biggest mistake that every coffee roasting company makes is they get something that's too small. We checked that box immediately and 6 months in knew that we needed a bigger machine.
Yeah.
The other big mistake that I would say we made is that we didn't get enough money to start with. We went to Mountain Biz Works. We got a loan for $50,000 to start the business, and that was a shoestring. We could have at least doubled that to begin with.
Yeah, because green coffee, we buy it by the pallet. I mean, it's thousands of dollars. It comes from all over the world. We get coffee from Africa, many countries in Africa, Central America, South America. And so what's our average like coffee release?
Cash flow is tricky because we drop $10,000 to $15,000 at one time. And then those sales trickle in over, a few weeks to a few months. And so, it's always interesting.
Starting up, that was.
So what are our goals? We have about 1 minute to talk about.
Oh my gosh.
Our biggest goal is to grow our business, to grow our top line, to grow our wholesale business, to be more actively engaged with the general public through events and pop-ups and things like this, I would dare say.
Yeah, exactly. We've just hired this amazing person named Eli.
That's Eli.
And that's our 6-year-old daughter, Eva.
That's Eva.
She said that she joined the company officially last Friday.
So he said that she's his boss actually now.
And yeah, we just want to be getting coffee to the people more.
What can these folks do for us?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, let's see. We'd love to create more. We'd love to either create or find safe spaces like this to bounce things off of people. It would be amazing if it was a regular group. With the background in academia and education, I was thinking about working groups. Like, where could we actually like talk about things? We as a small business that works with other small businesses doing wholesale, we hear the same thing from the people that we work with. Like, they'll call us and we don't have a cafe, but they will ask us, hey, how do we do this? Or how do we do that? And so I think for us, especially, we've done it really, when I came on, I started using Profit First. I don't know if anyone has read that book but I thought it was a really clever system for organizing your money as people who we don't have any background in, money management or business. Like that's not our strengths. So yeah, I would just love my ask to the community would be like, to help us create those spaces where we could work together to feel like we can talk about the hard things when the hard things come up, whatever they are.
Yeah, I feel like I have a lot of experience talking to people about coffee. This is probably the first time that we've ever spoken to a group about the business of coffee. Yeah. So it's really an awesome opportunity.
Yeah.
So I guess we can open up for questions now.
All right. Yeah, thanks very much.
Yeah.